So every Sunday, part of my routine typically is, I take a walk. I like nature. I like my neighborhood. So Sunday afternoon here at my house, so I was going to take a walk. And, last night, this whole weekend really has been an amazing weekend as we get ready to release what comes out tomorrow, my free training series on how to build a successful cash-based private pay therapy practice, how to build your private practice and make sure it's successful, get enough clients to sustain yourself and that sort of thing. And this was a really invigorating process. It was kind of a challenging process because most of the training that I do is related to solution-focused brief therapy. I've actually never released this stuff before. Now I've coached tons and tons of people, but this was a kind of a new venture for me. And I want to share with you a quick story that didn't actually make it into the first video of the training series, and we're probably not going to get it into the remaining two in the series. So, I've said several times, and I mean it. Like I'm someone that I try very hard to be an obedient, servant. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a very faithful person. And I came into the field of psychotherapy because I felt a calling to do so. Most people don't come into this field, to get rich or get wealthy. And that certainly was not my ambition in the beginning, and it is not my ambition now. We come into this field because of our desire to help people, and that was certainly true for me. I felt a calling to be a psychotherapist to help people. But over time, that calling has evolved, and instead of just helping clients in my therapy practice, I now feel very driven to help clinicians help make their jobs easier, help make their lives easier, and help therapists help their clients more. So that ultimately is what led to me writing books about solution-focused brief therapy. It's what drives me now to travel around the world speaking about solution-focused brief therapy. Sorry, the wind is blowing a little bit and it's making the camera wobble. And it ultimately is what led me to this particular training, how to share or sharing how I built my therapy practice to the level at which I did. Now, when I started, I had no idea how to do this. Like, should you take insurance or should you not? Where should you get your practice? And how do you drive people to your website? How to build a website? And I'm going to include all of that stuff in my training. But what I didn't include in my training that I wanted to share now is just how hard the journey was, but yet how satisfying it was to get on the other side. Like I mentioned, when I started my practice, I didn't really know what to do. And ultimately, I started getting enough clients. And when I became completely full, I had therapists working for me. I had a couple of assistants helping me out. And we were eventually doing, as an office, multiple six figures a year. And it was a very lucrative and amazing process. But I don't want to talk to you about the outcome without talking to you about the journey. And, it was really, really stressful. When I graduated with my master's degree, I didn't really know what I would be doing. I got a job working at an agency, and I wasn't really making that much money, but I loved the work. It was my first experience as a psychotherapist. It was my first time helping people. It was my first time, as a helper, and I loved it. And even thinking back, I would have stayed in that job forever had I not realized that in order for me to do psychotherapy the way I wanted to be doing it, and at that time I had really fallen in love with the solution-focused brief therapy approach, I was going to have to experience more freedom. I was going to have to go to a place where I could practice the way I wanted to and have everything completely in my control. So I met a really good friend of mine, a woman named Gina, and we split office costs and we opened our own office. And that was the beginning of the journey. And in those early days, it was so stressful, not knowing where if you were going to get enough clients, not knowing where your next paycheck was coming from, not knowing how the whole thing was going to work out. There was so much uncertainty in those days. Now, I quickly started realizing that I needed to have faith in myself. I needed to have belief in the process. And very soon, clients started calling, and that stuff dissipated. But I remember the day it all changed when I started feeling like a success. I set a goal. You know, I saw my first client on September 4th in private practice on September 4th, 2008. Saw my first client in my own therapy practice, September 4th, 2008. And I set a goal. By the end of September, I wanted to be seeing 5 clients a week. And by the end of that month, I had 5 clients scheduled that last week of September. And then I set another goal, like by the end of the next month, which was October, let's see if I can get 5 more clients. And by the end of October, I had 11. The last week of October 2008, I had 11 clients scheduled in my office. And I set another goal. By the end of November, I'd like to have 5 more, so 15 clients. By the end of November, I had 17 clients coming into my office. And I just wish I could tell you the sense of satisfaction, and I wish I could articulate what that felt like to be accomplishing those goals and knowing I was seeing enough clients to at least bring home as much as I was in my agency job, because that was my first goal. I refer to this as my magic number. My magic number, in order for me to bring home enough money that I'm making as much as I was in my agency job, was 11 clients per week. And I still, after all these years, I don't know that I can find the words to accurately articulate what it was like to get there in 3 months, in 90 days. There was a sense of amazing accomplishment, maybe even for the first time in my life, because I don't come from a family of successful business people or wealthy family or wealthy people or anything like that. I mean, I come from a pretty difficult background, right? I mean, I was born on the west side of Chicago. My family moved to the south side of Chicago, and if you don't know what that area of the world is like, just Google it. And then when I was young, my family moved to Boston, and we were, it was a struggle most of my life. But now, at the time, I was in my early 30s, and for the first time in my life, I had a career I could be proud of. I had a business that I could sustain myself on, and I was in control of it. Like I could do psychotherapy the way I wanted to do it. I was in control of my schedule, which ultimately I used to write a few books and accomplish a few other things. And I didn't have to work as many long, crazy hours, so I could be home with my family and I could spend more time in my hobbies. And I feel the same calling that led me into this field, the same calling that led to me devoting myself to writing about and teaching solution-focused brief therapy. I experienced a similar calling about this. And that's why I'm releasing the training, and it's why I'm releasing the training for free. And this is going to be a training, trust me. When you watch video number 1, which becomes available tomorrow afternoon, just go to buildyourcashbasedtherapypractice.com. When you see this stuff, you're going to think in your head, like, this should be this is what people should pay for. But I just want everybody to have it. And I also want to thank, so far we have 952 people have signed up for this training. Now, when I did this, whenever I do something like this, one of my biggest fears is that no one's going to show up. I remember when I was an undergrad, I was the president of my fraternity chapter, and we used to, throw parties and events and things like that. And I remember every single time, my biggest fear was, what if we put all these posters around campus and we do all this stuff, and we have the party and there's 3 people in there. And it was always a sense of relief on the day of the event when people actually show up and it turns into a bit of a success. And that's how I feel now when I release trainings like this. Like, when I make this stuff available, I'm always afraid that no one's going to sign up and I'm just going to be sitting there twiddling my thumbs. So far, 952 people have signed up, which completely blows me away. It makes me have this huge goal. So I actually want to reach a certain number of people now that I know that people are interested. And I want to thank all of you who have signed up. And if I can even help one person draw more clients into their office and avoid the pitfalls that lead to people closing their therapy practices, it somehow gives my journey value. It gives my pain purpose. It gives the struggle that I had. It somehow validates it. So just for those 952 people who have signed up so far, I just can't tell you how touching that is. And a large percentage of you kind of helped me create this training, because you would send me emails telling me, I hope what's in this training is, how to build a website that converts, or I hope what's in this training is, can you talk a little bit about how to have a social media marketing plan so that you can draw clients, and people asking, what about the timing? When should I start focusing on this? Should I, my last year of graduate school, when I first become licensed as an intern or an associate, or after I get my full license, is that when I start paying attention? And I'm going to address all of that stuff, and because of your questions and all of the amazing feedback that I've gotten so far, it's just made this such a fulfilling and wonderful experience. So I just can't thank you enough. Now, when I did this training, I want to make sure the videos are accessible. All right, that's part of the reason they're free. And I also want to make sure they're consumable, because trust me, I'm a talker, as you can probably tell from this video and other videos. I can go on forever, and I could do a training that was 100 hours long. But, I know that people's attention spans these days, it's just not that long. So I was trying to keep the video short enough that you could consume it in a reasonable amount of time, but compile enough meat in it that it was valuable. And so what I wanted to share that really didn't make it into the first video, and probably won't make it to the other three, is the personal journey that I've been on to bring this stuff to you. Just because it's valuable to me, because it's important to me, and I'm excited, right? I mean, I'm excited. So those of you watching this video, if you haven't already gone to buildyourcashbasedtherapypractice.com, go there and sign up. And if you have, I just can't thank you enough. I mean, regardless, just for watching this video and taking the time with me, thank you so very much for everything, really. And if you would do me a favor, because 952 people, now that I know that it's just not going to be me on day one tomorrow morning twiddling my thumbs, now I want to reach as many people as possible. So if you're watching this video, if you could please like this video and share it in your network so that everybody who's interested, thank you. I see some of the blue thumbs going across. I love when I see the blue thumbs and the hearts going across. But please like this video, share it in your network, so that if anybody out there is interested in building a therapy practice, they'll have this information, which I think is the missing link that we don't learn in graduate school. Our graduate schools do a wonderful job of teaching us the skill of being a psychotherapist and preparing us for the credential to obtain a psychotherapy license. But who has the time to get a master's degree in business, like an MBA or anything like that? So a lot of schools just don't teach us the business stuff that we need to know, like, should I be a sole proprietor, an LLC, a PLLC, a DBA? How do I get a tax ID number? How do I get an EIN number? Should I take insurance? Should I not? How do I find an adequate office location? How do I set my fee? A lot of school, it's hard to kind of navigate those waters. What do you do when a client calls, and how do you convert them into a client? If you're like me, give me a thumbs up if you felt a calling to come into this field, because I assume most of us did. Because I've talked to a lot of teenagers in my years. No one as a teenager says, when I grow up, I want to be a psychotherapist. I don't hear that very often. What drives us into this is our hearts and our compassions, and that's what makes us want to become helpers. And in graduate school, we learn how to become helpers, but we can't help them if we can't convert them into clients. We can't use our skill if we don't understand how to draw people into our practice. And at the end of the day, that's really what this training is going to be all about. How do I build a website that's attractive? How do I handle the phone calls and do so in a way that converts people into clients? But how do I share my gift with more people? Because that's really what marketing a psychotherapist practice is all about. And I know when we hear the word marketing, we think of, like the used car salesman and the slimy, ooey gooey world of marketing. And to some degree, that reputation is well earned by the marketing field. But when you talk specifically about the service industry where our practices reside, it's really just about, how do I share my gifts with more people? How do I let more people know that I have this gift and I'm willing to use it, and I'm desirous of helping you through your life struggles. I mean, that's what marketing a therapy practice is all about. And at the end of the day, that's what this training is all about. How do I have enough people come into my office so I can share my gift? So, I would have loved to include some of those personal things in this training series, and maybe I should have. I don't know, but we had to make some tough choices just to keep the video concise enough that people would consume it. So again, I thank you. I am going to try to enjoy the rest of my Sunday, try to do some reading, might do some writing. I'm on my way to, this week, I think I'm going to Austin. I'm going to lecture at a conference in Austin, Texas, and then I have to leave that conference early so I can go do a workshop in Montreal, Canada. So I'm really excited about all of that. I'll be teaching solution-focused brief therapy in those places, and I love that. I love that world. In fact, I was talking about my calling earlier. What's really happening in my career is I'm shifting from full-time clinical work and teaching, here and there on the side, and writing, the occasional book here and there. I'm now going to be teaching and writing full-time. So I'll be doing practice on the side. And for those who know me, that's a monumental shift, because I managed one of the largest therapy practice in our field for almost a decade, and everybody just, I was just a really passionate clinician that that was all I did with myself. And now I feel this tremendous shift, and I'm changing focus as my career. So I'm going to be full-time teaching on the road, and full-time writing books, and full-time doing research, and my therapy practice will be the thing that becomes part-time. Now, I love clinical work so much, I couldn't imagine a world without me doing some therapy in some capacity. But now that I have this different calling and this different drive over my life, it won't be to the large degree that it has been over the course of the past decade. So I thank you guys enough for allowing me to share this personal story with you. So again, tomorrow morning, that's when it kicks off. And don't hesitate, because the series is only going to be available for about a week or so. I got to take it down so I can make some room for other stuff in my schedule. So just go to buildyourcashbasedtherapypractice.com, and all you need to sign up is your email address, your name and your email address. Put in the best email address to reach you, because sometimes it's hard to get through firewalls. We end up in people's spams folders and stuff like that. And I'm doing this so that you can have it. Like, I really want you to have it, so I don't want to end up in your spam folder, or I don't want your server to block it. So I hope you have a great Sunday. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me and letting me share my story with you. Now that my walk is over, I'm going to go inside, do some reading, maybe write a little bit, and relax and try to get ready for tomorrow. I'm going to be so excited, though. I don't imagine there's a lot of sleep in my future tonight, because I'm just going to be so excited. What excites me most when I open trainings like this is how many comments on the video people make, and how many emails. I mean, it really is exciting. So I'm going to have a hard time sleeping, I anticipate, tonight. So I'm at least going to try to relax a little bit today, maybe get caught up on my favorite TV shows. I don't know if you guys out there enjoy, but like Alaskan Bush People, I'm hooked on that show here recently. So I got a bunch of stuff on my DVR. I almost said VCR. Gosh, you guys remember those things? Jeez. I'm going to get caught up on some stuff on my DVR and maybe kick my feet up a little bit. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thanks for spending these minutes with me. And I can't wait to share this with you tomorrow. So y'all have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll talk with you tomorrow.